Hey fam, today we'll be reading or starting from 18 of 2 Samuel. Let's pray. Father, thank you for bringing us together in this wonderful moment and to rejoice in you, O ruler, and to learn of your ways and to see through your history, to become better versions of ourselves, and to understand you. Thank you for all that's come to listen, and I hope you are able to learn something new from our Father. And glory to Father, and blessed his name. Amen. Glory Jehovah. Okay. 18. And David numbered, divineth the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David set forth a third part of the divineth the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Avishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you, myself also. But the people answered, You shall not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us, neither if half of us die, will they care for us. But now you are worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better than you that you help us out of the city. And the king said unto them, What seems you best I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded divineth Joab, and Avishai, and Ittai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave divineth all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field against Yasharel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Yasharel were slain before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. 8. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heavens and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. Isn't that interesting? And a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, And behold, you saw him? And why did you not smite him there to the ground? And I would have given you 10 shekels of silver, and a belt. And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged you, and Avishai, and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom, otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against my own life. For there is no matter hid from the king, and you yourself would have set yourself against me. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with you. And he took 3 spears in his hand, and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive, in the midst of the oak. Weird. He was riding a mule, and the tree caught him. And the bough under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heavens and the earth. and the mule was under him went away. Okay, 15. And 10 young men that bore Joab's armor compassed about and smote Doeg Absalom and slew him. And Joab blew the shofar, and the people returned from pursuing after Yasharel, for Joab held back the divine of the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him, and all Yasharel fled every one to his tent. It's confusing because the tree, it sounds like the tree is what kills him, and then they smite him anyway, and then they smite him again. 18. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself the pillar, which is in the king's valley. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called unto this day Absalom's place. Then said Achimatas, the son of Zadok, Let me now run and bear the king's tidings, how that Yahuwah has avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, You shall not bear tidings this day, but you shall bear tidings another day. But this day you shall bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushai, Go, tell the king what you have seen. And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. Then said Achimatas, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, But howsoever, let me, I pray you, also run after Cushai. And Joab said, Wherefore will you run, my son, seeing that you have no tidings ready? 23. But howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, Run. Then Achimatas ran by the way of the circle of the Jordan, and overran divine the Cushi. And David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate upon the wall, onto the wall, and lifted up divine his eyes, and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried, and told the king. And the king said, If he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came a pace, and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called unto the porter, and said, Behold, another man running alone. And the king said, He also brings tidings. And the watchman said, Methinks divineth the running of the foremost is like the running of Achimatas, the son of Zadok. And the king said, He is a good man, and comes with good news. And Achimatas called and said unto the king, All is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohika, which has delivered up divineth the men that lifted up divineth their hand against my ruler the king. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Achimatas answered, When Joab sent divineth the king's servant and me, your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. And the king said unto him, Turn aside, and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. 31. And behold, Cushai came, and Cushai said, Tidings, my ruler the king, for Yahuwah has avenged you this day of all them that rose up against you. And the king said unto Cushai, Is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, The enemies of my ruler the king, and all that rise against you to do you hurt, be as that young man is. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. As he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would to Elohim I had died for you. O Absalom, my son, my son. 19. And it was told Joab, behold, the king weeps and mourns for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into the mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. And the people got them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered divineth his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king, and said, You have shamed this day divineth the faces of all your servants, which this day have saved divineth your life, and divineth the lives of your sons and your daughters, and the lives of your women, and the lives of your concubines, and in that you love divineth your enemies, and hate divineth your friends. For you have declared this day that you regard neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased you well. Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto your servants. For I swear by Yahweh, if you go not forth, there will not tarry one with you this night, and that will be worse unto you than all the evil that befell you from your youth until now. 8. Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told all the people, saying, Behold, the king sits in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Yasharel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Yasharel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistine. And now he is fled out of the land of Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, we speak ye not a word of bringing divineth the king back. And King David sent Zadok the Abiathar the priest, and to the Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Yehudah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring divineth the king back to his house, seeing the speech of all Yasharel is come to the king, even to his house? Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones, and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye the last to bring back divineth the king? And say ye to Amasa, Are you not of my bone and of my flesh? Elohim do so to me, and more also, if you be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed, divineth the heart of all the men of Yehudah, even as the heart of one man. So that they sent this word unto the king, Return you and all your servants. So the king returned and came to the Jordan, and Yehudah came to Gilgal to go meet the king, to conduct divineth the king over the divineth the Jordan. The Jordan is the river Jordan. And basically the people are inquiring David to speak. And of course there's like specific people, Amasa, etc. And Shimei the son of Gera, a Benjamin, which was of Bachurim, Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin, hasted and came down with the men of Yehudah to meet King David. Oh, on 17. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Sivia the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him. And they went over the Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei the son of Gera fell down before the king, as he was come over the Jordan, and said, Unto the king, let not my ruler impute iniquity unto me. Neither do you remember, divine, that which your servant did perversely the day that my ruler the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. He's the one who sent food over to him when he needed it, and his servants. For your servant knows that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my ruler the king. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed Yahuwah's divineth anointed? And David said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah, that ye should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Yasharel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Yasharel? Therefore the king said unto Shimei, You shall not die. And the king swore unto him. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed divineth his clothes. From the day the king departed unto this day, he came again in peace. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king, and the king said unto him, Wherefore went not you with me, Mephibosheth? 26. And he answered, My ruler, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I will saddle me a donkey, that I may ride thereon, and go to divine the king, because your servant is lame. And he has slandered your servant unto my ruler the king. But my ruler the king is an angel of Elohim. Do therefore what is good in your eyes. For all of my father's house were but dead men before my ruler the king. Yet did you set divineth your servant among them that did eat at your own table? He's talking about the past. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, Why do you speak any more of their matters? I have said, You and Sivia divideth the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, Yea, let him take divineth for as much as my ruler the king is come again in peace unto his own house. And Barzillai the Gileadi came down a Rogilim, and went over divineth the Jordan, and divineth the king to conduct him over the Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, and he had provided divineth the king subsistence. And while he lay at Machanaim, for he was a very great man. And the king said unto Barzillai, Come over with me, and I will feed you with me in Jerusalem. 34. And Barzillai said unto the king, How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can your servant taste divineth what I eat, and divineth what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should your servant be yet a burden unto my ruler the king? He's talking about his qualities of how he's aged. Your servant will go a little way over divineth the Jordan with divineth the king. And why should the king recompense me with such a reward? Let your servant, I pray you, turn back again, that I may die in my own city, and be buried by the grave of my own father and of my mother. And behold, your servant Kima, let him go over with my ruler the king, and do to him divineth what shall seem good unto you. And the king answered Kima, shall go over with me, and I will do to him that which shall seem good unto you. And whatsoever you shall require of me, that will I do for you. And all the people went over to bind up the Arden. When the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned unto his own place. Thence the king went on to Gilgal, and Kimah went on with him. And all the people of Yehudah conducted to bind up the king, and also half of the people of Yasharel. When it says conduct, it's like prepare for the king. You can think about it like medieval times, when the king got on his horse and rode through the city, or the prince, and so on. 41. And behold, all the men of Yasharel came to the king and said unto the king, Why have our brethren the men of Yehudah stolen you away, and have brought divineth the king, and divineth his household, and all David's men with him, over the Jordan? And all the men of Yehudah answered the men of Yasharel, Because the king is near of kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? Have we eaten at all of the king's cost? Or has he given us any gift? And the men of Yasharel answered the men of Yehudah, and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than he. Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back David our king? And the words of the men of Yehudah were fiercer than the words of the men of Yasharel. So they're arguing with Judah, the people of Judah, why they didn't go with David to support, etc., through his hardship with Absalom to bring the king back. 20. And there happened to be there a man of Belial, whose name was Sheva, the son of Bichri, a Benjamin. And he blew a shofar, and said, We have no part in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Yeshai. Every man to his tent, O Yasharel. So every man of Yasharel went up from after David, and followed Sheva, the son of Bichri. But the men of Yehudah clave unto their king, from the Jordan even to Jerusalem. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took David the 10 women his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in ward, and fed them, but went not into them. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood. Then said the king to Amasa, Assemble me divided the men of Yehudah within 3 days, and be you here present. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Yehudah, but he tarried longer than the set time which he had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, Now shall Sheva the son of Bichri do us more harm than did Absalom? Take your ruler's servants and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us. And there went out after him Joab's men, and the Kerethiim, and the Pelishtim, and all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheva the Bichri. 8. When they were at the great stone which is in Givon, Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had put on was girded unto him, and upon it a belt, with a sword fastened upon his loins, in the sheath thereof. And as he went forth it fell out. And Joab said to Amasa, Are you in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard and the right hand to kiss him. But Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Joab's hand. And so he smote him there within the 5th rib, and shed out his bowels to the ground, and struck him not again, and he died. So Joab and Abishai, his brother, pursued after Sheva the Bichri. And one of Joab's men stood by him and said, He favors Joab, and he that is for David, let him go after Joab. And Amasa wallowed in blood in the midst of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa out of the highway into the field, and cast a cloth upon him. When he saw that everyone that came by him stood still, when he was removed out of the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue after Sheva the son of the Bichri. 14. And he went through all the tribes of Yasharal into Avlah to Beit Makkah and all Bereim, and they were gathered together and went also after him. And they came and besieged him in Avlah at Beit Makkah, and they cast up a bank against the city. The bank is like talking about lakes and like revolving around that, like water, the bank against the city, and it stood in the trench. And all the people that were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, hear, say I pray you, unto Joab, Come near hither, that I may speak with you. And when he was come near unto her, the woman said, Are you Joab? And he answered, I am he. Then she said unto him, Hear the words of your handmaid. And he answered, I do hear. Then she spoke, saying, They were wont to speak in old time, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Avil. And so they ended the matter. I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Yasharal. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Yasharal. Why will you swallow up the inheritance of Yahuwah? And Joab answered and said, far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. 21. This is a display of free will and individuality, because they were going to destroy the city, because they're ramming the walls and the doors, etc. The matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheva the son of Bichri by name, has lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to you over the wall. Then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off divineth the head of Sheva the Bichri, and cast it out to Joab, and he blew a shofar, and they retired from the city, every man to his tent. And Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. Now Joab was over all the hosts of Yasharal, and Benayahu the son of Yahuyada was over Kirithaim, and over the Pelithium, and Adoram was over the tribute, and Yahushaphat the son of Achilud was recorder, and Sheva was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Ira also a Yairi was a chief ruler about David. 21. Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired divineth of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah answered, It is for Saul, for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonim. And the king called the Gibeonim, and said unto them,
Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Yasharel, but of the remnant of Emerim. And the children of Yasharel had sworn unto them, and Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Yasharel and Yehudah. Wherefore David said unto the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you? And wherewith shall I make the atonement, that ye may bless divineth the inheritance of Yahuwah? And Gibeonites said unto him, We will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house. Neither of us shall ye kill any man in Yasharel. For he said, What ye shall say, that will I do for you. And they answered the king, The man that consumed us, that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coasts of Yasharel, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them unto Yahuwah in Gibeah of Saul, whom Yahuwah did choose. And the king said, I will give them. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jehonathan, the son of Saul, because of Yahuwah's oath that was between them, between David and Jehonathan, the son of Saul. 8. But the king took divined the 2 sons of Ritzvah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bore unto Saul, and divided the Armoni, and divided the Mephibosheth, and divided the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Michalathite, and he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them in the hill before Yahuwah. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. And Ritzvah, the daughter of Aiah, divided the sackcloth, and spread it for her upon the rock, from the beginning of harvest until water dropped upon them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor divided the divided the beasts of the field by night. And it was told David, divided that Ritzvah, the daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done. And David went and took the bones of Saul, and the bones of Jehonathan, his son, from the men of Yabesh Gilead, which had stolen them from the street of Shayan, where the Pelishtim had hanged them. When the Pelishtim had slain Saul in Gilboa, and he brought from thence divided the bones of Saul, and divided the bones of Jehonathan his son, and they gathered around the bones of them that were hanged, and divided the bones of Saul and Jehonathan his son buried they in the country of Benjamin in Tesla, in the sepulchre of Kish his father. And they performed all that the king commanded, and after that Elohim was entreated for the land. 15. Moreover, the Pelishtim had yet war again with Yasharel, and David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Pelishtim. And David waxed faint, and Yeshavu via Nov,